Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another video in the series on Cheshire churches. This is the Church of St Alban, Tattenhall. Now, as you can see behind me, it's a large Cheshire church, but although there has been a church here for hundreds and hundreds of years, the present building, apart from the tower, is basically all of a piece from 1869. The old building was then almost entirely pulled down, and a new building using some bits and pieces of the old was then constructed. The architect, I believe, was John Douglas of Chester. This is one of his earlier buildings, and it shows none of the arts and crafts style that you will find in his later churches. This is a standard Victorian Gothic building with a few bits and pieces left over from the old church. But it's a good idea to have a look around, just have some idea of what these Victorian Gothic churches are like, and also this is quite a pleasant building with a little bit, as say, of medieval history. So let's have a look around. So here we are at the west end looking east, and as usual there's a font. Here we are, the font, which again is Victorian, and it's all of a piece, I say, with the rest of the building. The arcade, the style here is really imitating what was here before, which was one of these big perpendicular churches like, well, the previous buildings we've seen in this series, as I recall, which would be Wrenbury and Bartlemy, whatever. As usual, we have here, there's a modern toilet, refreshment, etc., kitchen block on the north side. Here's the War Memorial. This is the First World War, those who gave their lives to King and Country. Here we have a memorial here, window here from the 1870s. This is Paul preaching. This is Paul at Ephesus, because they're bringing their magic books and throwing them away and having them destroyed. Magic books, I would add, were believed to actually have magic power imbued within their pages, so they were magic talismans. They were, whatever value there was, they couldn't be sold or anything, because that would instead be contributing to paganism and witchcraft and all that kind of business. But this church is dedicated to St Alban, who is, of course, the British proto-martyr, the English proto-martyr. He was a chap who lived at what's then called Verulamium, what's now, of course, called St Albans after him, and story goes he sheltered a Christian who was on the run from the Roman authorities, and as a result he himself was converted, confessed Christ, and so he was executed. Unfortunate Victorian pulpit, but this is a Victorian Gothic church, again, sort of thing that John Douglas would eventually get rid of. The screen here is in memory of Harry Reynolds Jones, 2nd Lieutenant, Royal Flying Corps, who was killed while flying near Roye, France, March 17th, 1918, aged 19 years. Even flying one of those old aircraft could be quite dangerous. I mean, flying still has its risks today, but you look at some of these old biplanes they flew in the First World War, they're taking life into your hand, literally. Here we have the reredos, the east chancel, a nice east window, nice organ there, Alleluia, salvation and glory and honour and power unto the Lord our God. So here we have the reredos, we've got the commandments, the creed, and the Lord's Prayer. And we have the Ascension in the middle, and then either side you've got Touch Me Not, that of course is Christ with Mary after the resurrection, and then Slow of Heart to Believe, that's Christ and the men on the road to Emmaus. Have here some very good glass of a 14th century style. I mean, if it doesn't even incorporate some 14th century pieces. East window, you have here crucifixion, east window, and then we have a Lady Chapel, and we turn around and all the way west, and there's the font at the back. And so into the Lady Chapel, and we have an east window by Kemp. Now, Kemp is a celebrated Victorian, early 20th century stained glass artist. He's... Some people really like him. I find after a while his windows, they're more and more, you think, well, there we go. I don't like Kemp, but that's life. That's a matter of taste. It's not a matter of right or wrong. And you see here we've got on the one hand, well, this is the resurrection, of course. You've got Mary Magdalene there, Rabboni, Maria, and assuming him to be the gardener. Well, you know, you wouldn't you, if a fellow was standing by a spade in a garden? And there we have, he is risen. On the other side, the empty tomb. Of course, it's all in a cod 15th century style, very Kemp. You know, either you like Kemp or you don't, and I don't, and that's life. And you see, looking west there, we have some big stone blocks in that wall there, indicating still part of the medieval church surviving. But it is essentially, say, a Victorian church, and of course we have. The Victorians always like their eagle lectern, as it's very rare to find a Victorian church without one. And back there, of course, a now modern kitchen, refreshment area at the back. So that's the inside here. And so here we are outside at Tattenhall, and you can see immediately, again, it's this classic Cheshire church shape, and this classic Cheshire church red sandstone, the old red sandstone that weathers a bit, but is generally a very attractive building stone. It's particularly actually sunset and sunrise, and in the winter it seems to sort of glow with an inner light. So we'll have a look around the outside and just point out some of the salient features, they say. So of course the first thing is the tower. You can see how eroded it is, and you can also see something of how the walls incorporate, particularly the aisle here, this south aisle incorporates quite a lot of medieval stone that's obviously been taken down and reassembled, whereas the chancel is clearly all Victorian stone. The nice wooden porch, and it's something of a hint of what John Douglas would go on to do. He becomes much more interested in the use of wood and vernacular building styles over time. He's really the man responsible for the style that you see in Chester with all the timber framed houses, because he's going back to the sort of 16th, 17th centuries, and there you see this wonderfully eroded tower with its gargoyles, and yes, that is the time, more or less. And we wander around here. I'm pretty sure there's a west door. There's a west door. You can just see there that arched window, which suggests that stonework is perhaps medieval. And then here you've got a big buttress holding the tower up, and the door, west door. Always rather fun, these ones. You've got a face there, deeply eroded, and then another face on the other side. And there's the modern block, which is very important. As you said, that expectations today are rather different. And again, this west end of the north aisle is still quite medieval in stonework. And you look up at that tower, niches which had statues in, and all the way up to the Union flag flying there. And so here we are around the north side. Now, as usual, the north side is going to be the plainer side because it's the north side. It's the side, it's also here the side that faces away from the, I suppose Tattenhall's either a big village or a small town, I'm never quite sure which. But it's here, and it's good that here they've done this, they've got the right building stone that has the same kind of stone as the church. And you can see here again the aisle wall, that's medieval work, and then there's the Victorian vestry, organ chamber there. And yes, I think that's pretty much. We're going to come round again to the southeastern side, and some of these very eroded gravestones in true Cheshire style. You see here the east wall is completely Victorian. That doesn't surprise me. It does seem that the chancel is completely rebuilt, but here again a bit of medieval stonework. So they say it's completely rebuilt in the 1860s. It seems to me it's basically gutted, and the chancel's rebuilt, and the roofs are rebuilt, and the porch is rebuilt. But it is pretty much a it's a fascinating building, really, isn't it? So there we have it, St Alban's Tattenhall. Someone has asked on the channel, why is I always coming from the right? The answer is because that's where the receiver for the remote control for the camera is. Simple as that. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, in spite of perhaps of my snarking about the Victorians. It is a lovely church, and let's not detract from that. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.